Welcome, friends. This is James Corbett of corbettreport.com, and as you know, we are doing a weekly series here on alternative social media platforms, ways to get out of the Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat matrix of control and onto some platforms that at least promise the possibility of something more decentralized and less censorable. And on that note, people will know that one of the earliest alternative social media platforms that I adopted was BitChute.com, which you will note is generally the video that is embedded on the front page of my website is a BitChute embed. So most people have probably at least tried BitChute.com yet, but if not, this might be a good opportunity for you to find out more about it. And today we're going to be talking to the founder of BitChute.com, Ray Vahey. Ray, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, James. Great to be here.
Excellent. Well, this is an alternative social media platform, I suppose. It is a video platform specifically. So give us the 30-second, 1-minute pitch. What is BitChute.com and why should people be using it?
Okay, so BitChute is a peer-to-peer video sharing service. It's based on WebTorrent, which is a browser-based implementation of the BitTorrent protocol. And what that means is that rather than having thousands of computers in data centers all around the world, we're relying on computers making peer-to-peer connections to each other to offset our bandwidth costs and to make the system very robust. So if you look in North America today, BitTorrent still accounts for about 5% of all traffic in North America, which is smaller than YouTube, but it's comparable. So this protocol is proven over a decade. It's very scalable. It can grow to near infinite levels, and that's what BitChute is based on. But probably more important than that, BitChute is a different type of social media platform in that we're trying to move away from traditional norms. We don't want to be selling people's data. We don't want to spy on people. We want to have a platform where people can use it and have the respect they deserve.
So give us the compare and contrast to the platforms that people probably have used in the past, YouTube and LiveLeak and Dailymotion and Vimeo and some of those other video sharing platforms that have been around for a while. How does BitChute compare? How is it similar? How is it different?
Okay, so like I just said, it's using WebTorrent. So when you download a file, you're also a peer of that file. You're uploading it to other people who are using the network at the same time. That's the biggest technical difference. The site itself has many of the features of YouTube. So it's got a commenting, it's got a like system, it's got the subscribing. You can follow your favorite creators and you can get notifications. The notifications actually work on BitChute. And yeah, I mean, we're adding features all the time. So we want to, our goal is to get to feature parity with YouTube. We're still well behind that. But we want to do that in a way that we can monetize people without having to spy on them, without having to manipulate them. And yeah, that's really our goal.
All right, so tell us where you're at in terms of implementation of your grand plan for BitChute.com. I know when we were first talking about this last year, or maybe even further before that, we were talking about it hadn't been fully implemented yet. You were still basically running it off of your server. It hadn't been fully decentralized yet. Where are we in terms of getting this fully torrented and torrentable, and also in terms of other features that you're working on, monetization and the like?
Yeah, the big thing we're working on at the moment is monetization, and we've got several different strategies that we're going to implement. One is a Patreon-like system, but I think you'll like this idea. I don't mind sharing it because it's very close to completion. But we're going to allow the users to decide how much they give to the platform and how much they give to the creator. So if they decide to give us nothing, they can. If they decide to give $5 to you, and they decide to give us an extra 50 cents, that's perfect. And that's very different to YouTube's model, where they take a 30% cut on super chats. So although they could implement a system similar to ours, I don't think anyone would actually give them any money. Whereas BitChute being a grassroots movement, I think that can actually work. We're also working on a marketplace. That's further off, but that's going to be a way that people can interact, and a decentralized way that people can monetize their content in many different ways. That's quite far off, so I'll tell you about that perhaps in another call. And we're also working on a blockchain solution. We've got that. It's in testing at the moment. It's going to require a fair amount of testing. That's important for two reasons. One, it's a monetization method, but also it increases our decentralization. So at the moment, we store everything in torrents. We store the videos in torrents, but the indexing is still done centrally. So we want to make the indexing of the torrents decentralized. And to do that, we put the torrent data, the address of a torrent, into the blockchain. This is something I've been talking to you for quite a while, saying we're ready, and then I had to change the design. And the reason for that, blockchain is a great technology. It's a fantastic technology, but there's good with it and there's bad with it. And my first inclination when we started BitChute was just to put everything into the blockchain. And after more thought or consideration, I thought, do we really want to do that? That's, maybe someone doesn't want to be on the blockchain. I mean, someone like you're a public figure already. You couldn't wipe your stuff from the internet if you wanted to. But let's say a 13-year-old kid. I know what I was up to when I was 13. If I was making videos online, there might be stuff that, if I hadn't got famous yet, I might want to remove. Blockchain kind of makes that impossible. So just by storing the index, and also by allowing people to say whether they want to be on the blockchain or not, we sort of alleviate that problem. Because if someone sees the index alone, then they're not going to know what the data is until they download the torrent, and that gives someone the opportunity to allow that torrent to disappear if it ever becomes embarrassing in the future. So it's a complicated subject. There's a lot of room for debate on it, but we've decided to go with this and have a hybrid solution where we're not forcing people to be on the blockchain if they don't want to.
I think that is important, especially when we're talking about privacy, about implications for as you say, young people who are growing up and putting things out there that maybe when they're older they don't want out there. I understand there's a lot of issues going around about this, but for people who don't get the importance of indexing, putting the index in a decentralized blockchain, what is the difference there between a centralized index on BitChute.com versus a decentralized index that you're accessing through a blockchain?
Okay, so to get a bit technical, in torrent world, there's something called an info hash, and all it is a string of numbers and letters. It's about 40 characters in length, and that is enough to access a torrent file. By putting that onto a blockchain, we're decentralizing the ownership of that index. So it means that another company could come along, they could get that index, and they could set up their own BitChute or their own subset of BitChute, or maybe even just their own channel if they wanted to on a separate website. They could pull that data, and that, along with the torrent data, would allow them to. And this is not, the blockchain part might be new, but if you look at the BitTorrent world and you look at sites that have gone before, you've got sites like Pirate Bay, Kickass, and they're quite notorious for having a lot of copyright material on them. But if you look at the idea, none of those sites have sole ownership of the data that is out there in the torrent world. They're more like windows into a centralized pool of content. And it's up to the user, based on how good the site is, which site they go to. So in the future, it could be that BitChute decentralizes that way as well. Because also, a lot of people forget this, but a company alone is a centralization point. People are centralization points. Outside of technology, there's many more centralization points. And, you have to take these into consideration as well.
Right. So even if you went away or BitChute went away, if the index is decentralized and if the torrents are out there, then theoretically you can just recreate the entire site.
Exactly. Yes.
Excellent. All right, let's get into some feedback that I received, because I have obviously received some feedback about BitChute over the many moons that I've been putting up, or mirroring my YouTube channel, essentially. And one of the most common is that I get from low bandwidth users who use YouTube because they got 144p, extremely low quality, but they can at least watch it on their low bandwidth, and they often have problems on BitChute. Any plans to work on that feature in the future?
Yes, we want to bring in not only lower bandwidth versions of the video, but higher bandwidth versions. So that is something we've got plans for. There's a prerequisite for that we want to bring in monetization. We want to start making money on the platform first, and perhaps also I'm looking at ways to get a bit of investment, because once we start expanding the amount of videos that we hold, then that's going to be a bigger cost for us. So that is definitely coming, different versions of the file. We're also looking at updating the embed option so that we can give people alternatives within the embed. So you can embed one embed and someone can click where they want to watch that, which is, if they want to watch it on BitChute, that's fantastic. If they want to watch it somewhere else, that's also doable.
Right. I've also had feedback about the cookies on BitChute.com. What is the BitChute privacy policy, cookies? How does that work?
So the cookies we set from the BitChute domain are very limited. We don't store too much. We store things like user preferences, so that if you dismiss a dialogue, that it doesn't get annoying, that it remembers that you dismissed it the next time you come back to the site. We do have some third-party software on the site. For example, the comment system, which is an amazing comment system. It's by Discuss, and they also set some cookies. So that might be where your user is getting that from. The Discuss system, it's something that we may eventually replace, but it is very good, and it does encourage a lot of debate on the videos, because it's actually better than YouTube's comment system by quite a way, because you can see live updates when someone's typing. You can see that a reply is waiting while they're typing, things like that, and that really gets the flow of commenting going. Even while people are watching a long video, you can often watch it and the comments will build up as the video goes through. So it's a very good comment system, but it does set some tracking cookies, and they've updated their policy recently, and I think they've added some more. So yeah, we might have to bite the bullet and look around for other commenting systems. But at the moment, we're quite happy with the functionality, so it makes it a bit of a difficult one.
Absolutely. Well, now this is something to do with, I guess, the nature of the market, as it were, for this type of platform at the moment. But of course, a lot of the people who are finding out about and attracted to BitChute.com as an alternative to, say, YouTube are the people who are being banned from YouTube. So I want to use BitChute.com more. I want to get rid of YouTube, but I go to BitChute.com and browse through the front page, and it's heavily skewed towards that type of banned from YouTube content. So it is a lot of alt-right kind of content that is not so useful for my research purposes. This is not exactly your grandma's video sharing platform at this point, or a family-oriented one. I guess it's part of just the nature of who is using it and their incentives for it. But how do you plan to expand BitChute from the sort of core content that it's posting right now?
Well, that's gone up recently because of what's going on with YouTube, and they have been kicking a lot of people off. We do also get a lot of other content. If you look through some of the other categories, the gaming, the music, there is a fair amount of other content there. So I don't want people to think we're only full of that content. We're not. But we are starting an outreach program, and we're working with some volunteers on that, because we don't actually have a marketing budget. Everything has spread word of mouth, and and that's been great. I mean, it's growing really fast that way. But we want to start filling up the categories that are more sparse, filling up maybe the makeup tutorials. It's all content that we really want. And we're going to ask volunteers to do that. If anyone wants to be a volunteer, that would be great. Just to reach out and say, hey, look, there's this platform. It's getting a lot of views at the moment. You know, maybe you're not getting as many views on YouTube, and if you try something new, that you might reach a big audience quickly. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there as well for creators of all sorts: cooking, makeup, sports, all these different categories.
Absolutely. That's an excellent point, actually, in all of this sort of social media shakeup that's going on right now. Yeah, the big systems are well established, and people like me who have 250,000 subscribers on YouTube are, you know, already there. But for people trying to break into that, it's a lot harder these days than it was, say, 10 years ago. Well, with platforms like BitChute, well, it's kind of restart the game. So there will be new people coming up and being able to crack that wouldn't be able to crack through YouTube or any of the big established platforms. It's an important point.
And absolutely, and on that point, many people have commented on this and have said that YouTube isn't the YouTube of 5-6 years ago. That now when you go to the front page, you're more likely to be recommended CNN or I don't know, some Saturday night TV host. For some reason, whenever I go there, I'm always getting Ellen DeGeneres or whoever she is. But they've said they've already spelled out their direction. It's very corporate. They're moving towards the mainstream media. So I don't think in the future people will be able to break through that ceiling anymore. I think it's going to be very difficult, and the superstar of YouTubers of the future won't be YouTubers, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And I can attest to that as well. 10 years ago, 11 years ago, when I started posting things to YouTube, I had several videos get hundreds of thousands of views, and I was nobody with no established platform. I had, you know, maybe 100 subscribers or something at that point, but I was getting hundreds of thousands of views on some of my videos. And now I have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and I barely ever get hundreds of thousands of views. So there's definitely been a change in the way that they organize the front page and promote material and this sort of thing. And it definitely skews towards the safe content, the corporate-friendly, CNN-approved kind of content. So it is good to have that shake-up from time to time. And hey, maybe 10 years from now, maybe BitChute will be shook up by some bold new competitor. But in the meantime, I hope people are at least exploring these alternatives. I think it is extremely important that we know about these alternatives before we get caught in a web of YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Google, this matrix that's being constructed. So Ray, anything else you'd like to say, or anywhere you'd like to direct people for more information about BitChute?
Yeah, if you come to the site, just sign up. There's also a forum on the site now as well. So if you've got questions, that's a great place to go to start. I know the Corbett Report is not on Facebook or Twitter. I've cut down on my Twitter use quite a lot, but the BitChute official account is still on those sites where we try to answer problems and try to, just generally be there. I think it's still a good fishing exercise to get more people back over to our site. Those are the places. Just come to the site, get on the forum. That's a really good idea.
Excellent. All right, well, we'll leave it there. We'll direct people to bitchute.com for more information. And Dre Vahey, thank you very much for your time today. Thank
you very much, James.
The Corbett Report is brought to you by the Corbett Report subscriber, a weekly newsletter featuring James Corbett's International Forecaster editorial, recommended reading and viewing, discounts on Corbett Report DVDs, and once a month, a subscriber-only video. Sign up today to start receiving your copy at corbettreport.com/support.